Thank you. Ms. Kotterman, would you like to answer that one?
Sure. I believe that parent engagement and community engagement, family engagement is actually at the heart of the success of most students. But the truth is, as an 18-year classroom teacher, I know that that's not always possible for some parents to be engaged daily in the school activities of their children. But every parent, no matter who they are or what they do, can encourage their children to believe that their education is the most important thing that they have to do as a student. For me as a teacher, parents would say, you know, I'm really busy, I work 2 jobs, I have lots of things I have to do, what can I do to help? My vision was always, look, the best thing you can do is to help your child understand that their job is to come to school every day, ready to learn, and to be as supportive as you possibly can in that effort. Having said that, I believe our schools need to be much more friendly and open to parents coming into them and being a part of understanding the work of schools. I think far too many of our parents don't understand the complexities of the curriculum and instruction that their students or that their children are being asked to participate in. And we could go a long way by reaching out and creating an open and honest environment with our parents so that they had an opportunity to engage with teachers outside of things like parent-teacher conferences or large events where there's hundreds of parents wandering through a school all at one time. So our schools really need to return to that center of our communities and be a place where we open them up and we pay attention to the needs of those communities, and we create the kinds of opportunities for parents to engage with their children in ongoing learning, not just during the school day, but sometimes in the evenings, in the weekends. One of the greatest resources we have in our communities are our public schools. And we lock them down every day at 5 o'clock. We put padlocks on the fences. We keep the playgrounds shut down. We have lots and lots of opportunities with the right kinds of resources and the right kind of vision to make our schools, once again, community centers of learning. And that will help engage parents in their children's learning as well.
Thank you. Mr. Huppenthal.
The question referred to programs authorized under the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. Essentially, President Obama is talking about retooling No Child Left Behind into a new structure. When you go into the vision behind that and the research behind that, there's some really troubling aspects to that. And one of the core research foundations for that is Saunders' work in Tennessee on value added. And the problem they have is that Saunders' work was put in place in Tennessee for a decade, and Tennessee has nothing to show for it. And yet they're going to take that model, and evidently they intended to, in a very methodical fashion, roll that model out nationwide under the theory that in fact it will produce results when the history hasn't been too positive. And when I look at this data and these school accountability systems that are simply driven by test scores, a lot of alarm bells ought to be going off because of that history in Tennessee. It just simply didn't work in Tennessee. And what we've done differently in Arizona, we've tried to say your systems need to be informed by test scores, more importantly by academic gain data. Where does this teacher take the students from? A teacher that takes students from the 30th percentile to the 35th percentile is doing a phenomenal job and shouldn't be kicked around by your accountability systems. A school that takes students from the 30th to the 35th percentile should be recognized as an excellent school if they're doing that systematically year after year. So you have to have that, but that's not enough. You have to measure your relationships. What percentage of the parents say the school is doing an excellent job of educating their child? It's a critical relationship. If you try to drive this down just to test scores, it's going to crash and burn on you. You need to know what percentage of the teachers say that this school district is an excellent place to work. That's a critical accountability thing. Is the school district supporting the teacher in the classroom in a whole variety of ways? Our experience is when you have a full-bodied set of accountability measures, measuring relationships as well as the academics on a very scientific way, talking about gain, not absolute test score, that the community comes together and thrives as a team. Those are the kind of accountability elements that I'll put in place. We will know district by district What percentage of the teachers say it's an excellent place to work? And that will vary from 0 to 80%. It is going to cause some school boards and superintendents to crawl out of their skins.
Okay.
And I realize I'm out of time, but I
we
sure
are
would love to
red.
continue this.
We're red, Mr. Huppenthal.
Well, the,
Ms. Dugan.
the reauthorization of ESEA and parental involvement in schools, you know, I really don't think our state needs to wait for that. Personally, I think every school, with the help of the PTA, in fact, I had a talk with Chuck and Betty the other day, because when I was in school, PTA was the parent group that I remember. And I asked them this question. Every school is different. Every school has a different culture. And the principal, whether you like it or not, sets the culture of each of those schools. And every school has a different parental involvement program. And that's what I asked Chuck and Betty. If the PTA comes in, what kind of parental involvement should occur at that individual school? It should be dictated by the type of parents and the type of students that are enrolled in that school. And that's what I like the beauty of the PTA and what Chuck and Betty said to me. That's what I would like to do as Superintendent of Public Instruction. Let's look at individual schools in the state of Arizona. What would the involvement look like at School A versus School B? It could be very different. School A might have parents that can give a lot of time in the classroom for volunteer. There could be in School B where you don't get that type of volunteer because of the parents' work schedule. So I think the parent involvement could look very different from School A to School B, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there would not be parental involvement. I can look at my own experience at Glendale High School. I did not have parents in the classroom, but I did have parental involvement at different activities. And so I think parental involvement, we shouldn't wait for the federal government, ESEA, to look to see what they're going to dictate to the state of Arizona, but let's be proactive with the PTA here in Arizona, and let's decide individual schools what our involvement with our parents will be, because I think individual schools, with the leadership at the principal and the teachers at that school, will be able to design the program with their communities and their parents that will probably be the very best, rather than having the federal government dictate the type of parental involvement.